Skip it up and that up. I know a lot of you guys wanted me to talk about PlayStation Now when it was announced, and you were surprised I didn't jump right on it and talk about it. But with things like that, I always want to sit down and think instead of just giving knee-jerk reaction. When a big announcement like that comes around, I mean, we knew it was coming. Sony bought Gaikai. We knew it, but I really wanted to let it digest it and think about the whole cloud streaming service and how I feel about it and what I think the future, I guess for lack of a better word, repercussions will be with cloud streaming. Cloud steaming, huh? It's late at night that I'm doing these videos. And am I saying it's going to be a bad service? No. I'm sure it's probably going to be a fantastic service, and it's, you're going to be able to, on Sony Bravia TVs, play The Last of Us, and on your PlayStation Vita, you're going to be able to play God of War. I saw it. It looks pretty badass, but like I've said a million times before, and many of you guys have gotten angry at me, it's the beginning of the end of conventional consoles. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen 5 years from now? No. Is it going to happen maybe even 7 years from now? Probably not. But it kind of furthermore says, and like I said before, Shuhei Yoshida indirectly said himself in another video I made. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. I'll have an annotation here if I do remember. Everything is going to be in the cloud. Even digital distribution, where you have the software on your computer, those days are number two. Everything literally is going to be streaming from a cloud, where you're just going to have a dummy terminal basically at your house or your TV or your smartphone, and that's how you're going to play games. And like I said, it's depressing because as a guy who loves hardware, who grew up with hardware, who remembers being 3 years old and playing the ColecoVision, it's really over. The way games, the whole platform, the whole industry is kind of in this awkward stage, and everything is going to change, and the way we think about gaming now is going to be totally different, even like 8 or 9 years from now. And it also leaves me with a lot of questions too. How is this cloud streaming crap going to work out? How is it going to be profitable enough to give us AAA games? Now, the first thing, before I get into that, the first thing that bothers me, from not even that I'm a diehard collector, even though I'm tempted to buy a Super Nintendo again this week, even though I'm not a diehard collector, what are we paying for? Now, obviously, with how much production value goes into these games, I can't picture them being able to make these AAA next-gen games and have us only pay like $30 a month for a streaming service. So how is that going to work when the next Call of Duty needs to come out? Whether you hate Call of Duty or not, it's considered a AAA game. How is there going to be enough money being made from these streaming services to basically allow the companies to afford to make these games? What are they going to have? Some insanely high monthly fee? Are they going to be like, oh, Rich, you need to pay $100 a month to have, Sony's cloud streaming service? I'm not saying now. Then obviously now it's probably going to be probably $15 a month or something like that. I didn't look into the price of this. This is a totally off the cuff video. But in the future, when cloud streaming is the only way, when Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo become streaming services where there's no hardware involved anymore, how is there going to be enough money being made for these companies to make enough of a profit that these AAA games that we love can be developed? And are they going to make us pay this high price? And people may defend it and say, hey, Rich, $100 a month is a bargain if you think about it, because if you're getting 5 AAA games a month, you would have to pay $300 a month. But I'm not doing that. A lot of my games I buy, whether it be on a Steam sale or if I buy it for a console, I don't buy them right away. I wait till they come down in price. Or I'll do like I have, because I have an Xbox 360 again. My little brother gave it to me. I went out and bought the Fear Files and Bayonetta and Vanquish, and it was like $15 or $16 for all 3 games. I don't buy games brand spanking new, so even $100 a month, the turnaround, it wouldn't be a sound financial investment for me, because I wouldn't play enough games. I just don't really see, or are they going to make you? And this part will bother me a lot, because you're not even getting a license. You're not even getting software to your computer. Are they going to make us pay full price? Not with PlayStation Now as it is at the moment, because obviously they're not going to let you stream PlayStation 4 games to a Bravia TV. It would be a cannibalistic business move, because it would diminish the value of the PlayStation 4. But I'm saying, like, are they going to make you pay $60 just like you are now to not even have software on your computer like digital distribution? You're just going to have the privilege, or not even the privilege, you're going to be allowed to stream the data from the cloud. And then at that point, the other concern is, you buy you buy all these games, you have the permission to play all these games because you spend $60 on each one. What happens if Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo goes belly up? Are we just going to, you invest all this money, thousands of dollars if you do pay $60 per game, and basically you just have to hope the company never goes out of business? I mean, how, even if they have something in their end user agreement that says, oh, you're protected X, Y, and Z, how could they promise that? What happens is, let's see, there was an article I saw where they said there's a 79% chance Sony may go bankrupt in a few years. I don't know if I believe that or not, but what happens if they do? And what happens if Sony takes a shit and they have to sell off PlayStation? And then, this company, and this is all as if, because I know PlayStation Now is not offering PlayStation 4 games yet or anywhere in the near future. But what happens if 10 years from now Sony does take a shit and, Bob the random company buys PlayStation software, and you bought like these obscure games, but you bought them for $60, but they don't deem them worthwhile to keep. And there's nothing you could do to keep on their servers, I mean to say. And there's nothing you could do about it. You lost out on, could be a couple $1,000s worth of games that all you did was buy permission to play them. That concerns me. And for people who don't know, as far as I know, with Valve still, if Valve has something in their terms of service or agreement that if they ever take a shit, you could download all the games, keep them on your hard drive from Valve, burn them onto a disk and keep them so you don't lose any of the money you invested. But the cloud is different. You can't store the games on your computer. You're just streaming basically video like Netflix. And they have technology set up so there's very little latency so you can control the game. So that's a concern too. The other thing that bothers me is there's nothing tangible anymore. As much as I'm very pro Valve because they give me, Steam gives me a great experience and I've had very little to complain about with Valve. I've only had one issue with Valve and it was very minor. When these companies, or it kind of rolls into what I was saying before, it may sound somewhat redundant, but when 30 years from now, it's just how businesses work, when one of these companies, or maybe all of them, are long gone, there'll be nothing to collect anymore. There'll be nothing. I could go out right now, like I just said, I may purchase a Super Nintendo. I could go buy a Super Nintendo and I think I may have used this example before. There was some fighting game from Jalico. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. Jalico's dead. Done. There's nothing from Jalico anymore. I could still go buy that game because there's physical copies that exist. If there's some random, if Sony goes out of business and there was some random no-name game that was on their streaming service, do you think anyone's going to give a shit about that game? You'll never be able to find it again. So all this money you may invest, or that collector's value, all that tangible product you enjoyed getting, all of that excitement's going to go away. There's going to be no history left. And it kind of bothers me about books and stuff too. It's not just gaming. When people go and read books, or books are just published to be read on tablets or to be read on, I can't think of what they're called right now, where it actually looks like paper, e-readers. When they're just published to e-readers, I mean, even if you have it backed up 70 times, hard drives can go away. And yeah, I know the chances are slim to none that it'll totally cease to exist, but the possibility is there. Whereas if you have a paper book, you could go to a library. The book may stink like shit, but the book is still there. You know what? I feel like all this cloud streaming and this technology that everyone's excited about, I just feel like it's going to take away our history. It may sound melodramatic, but it's true. And it's taking away the value of purchasing all these things with your hard-earned money. I mean, there are times, I could have gotten The Last of Us on PS3, which I still hate that game. I could have gotten The Last of Us on PS3 direct digital download at midnight, but I chose to get the game because I like getting the game. I like opening up and looking at, not even at the manual, but you have this physical product that, it kind of feels more rewarding when you put your hard-earned money down on something. And that's another concern. Now, a lot of people bring up bandwidth. To me, bandwidth is a temporary issue. As the internet evolves, hell, other countries are ahead of the United States. As the internet evolves and Google Fiber comes into play and technology increases bandwidth over time, bandwidth is not going to be an issue. There'll be 5 megabits per second around the world. It'll be easy to get. Everyone will be happy. We'll be able to stream 1080p games with no lag and play them, and we'll not even think. It won't even be a thought. You won't have to worry about, your wife upstairs on the computer. You don't have to worry about your kids. You don't have to worry about your mom or dad, going on the internet while you're trying to stream a game through PlayStation Now. Right now, that's a problem, but in the future, it won't be. Everyone will have more than capable internet to stream as much bandwidth as is needed to use these PlayStation Now-esque services properly. Data caps, a lot of people bring up data caps too, is another thing. That's just fraud. That's just companies trying to gouge the consumer. I think it was either someone from the FCC or someone from one of the internet service providers that admitted, we were saying that, we had to enforce data caps to make sure there was enough bandwidth for everybody, but that's a load of crap. We have plenty of bandwidth. We were just doing it to make more money. So data caps will eventually probably fade into obscurity. Maybe they'll want a piece of the action from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I don't know how that'll work, but they're just being frauds who want more money. And eventually that'll go away too, because they admitted that they only did it to make more money. Data caps are a bunch of crap. So yeah, man, I understand technology evolves and the future is streaming games, and it'll, in their eyes, the developers and the hardware makers, it'll diminish piracy. They don't have to worry about manufacturing discs and doing art for the game covers and all that, and that'll save them that'll make it more profitable, and it'll save them money. But I still remember being 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and how exciting it was to go to the store and you pick up this tangible product. You're bringing home this cartridge or CD or DVD or Blu-ray game. Obviously Blu-rays and DVDs back then weren't around, but you get what I'm saying. And there was something magical to bringing home that game cartridge, that CD, that DVD. And those days, it's official now. With PlayStation Now, it's official that those days are numbered. I understand, they aren't going to put PlayStation 4 games on there yet or anytime soon, but it is the beginning of the end. It really is. And if you don't see it, and if you really think that it isn't, I don't know what to tell you, but it is. Anyway, guys, this is Rich of Review Tech USA. Make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for supporting my channel. Have a good one.